What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast with me, Trevor, and Kyle. I'm back. You had an interview last week with the guys from Spit My Rage, and you brought Chris along with you.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was a ton of fun. I seriously been bugging Spit My Rage for like a while to get on. And it's not like I'm bugging them. I guess I shouldn't say that. We've tried to set it up a whole bunch of times, but like I've had to cancel, they've had to cancel a couple times. Yeah. Like it just took a while, but dude, what cool guys, man. Seriously. And I know I said it in the podcast, but they're super cool in the scene here. Like, you know how there's certain people that you go to shows and like one guy just goes around and knows everybody.
Yeah.
Like that's Foz. Like seriously, everybody goes up to him. He says hi to everyone. It's really cool to see that, you know?
Yeah. And, man, I really wish I was on the interview because, like, listen, it was great. I really liked you and Chris being on there, and it was a ton of fun. But I had so many questions when I was sitting there listening to it. Yeah. Where, like, Ricky's from back east. He's from, like, he grew up in the Boston scene, he said. Yeah. Dude, why didn't you guys, like, touch on that? And he's, like, older than us. Foz is younger than us. What's it like being in a band with like that age difference? Is he like showing Foz and like the dudes like bands from back east? Like, is he the old man being like, you guys got to listen to the good stuff? You know what I mean?
I thought it was funny that he said that like the band that he would open for was Suicide File.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, nobody knows. Like, I promise you, Foz doesn't know who Suicide File was until Ricky showed him. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right, exactly.
That's an old school band stuff.
But listen, gotta give Foz a ton of credit. He seems like an old soul. Like he was naming off like the 80s and the 90s hardcore and stuff like that, and that's what he's all about. So like, credit to Foz and everything. Yeah. And I actually hit him up after. He had some awesome one-liners in there, like. Yeah. Him talking about him liking shoegaze. Dude, I was dying. That was so funny. But yeah, no, super cool interview, super cool guys. They're the ones putting on the Die Young show.
Core for Core is, yeah. So the guys that do the promote. I think him. I don't know if it's Ricky too. I know it's Foz.
Foz, yeah.
But yeah, they do Core for Core. They promote and stuff, and yeah, so they're doing the Die Young show. They're also playing Combust next week.
Right.
I'm gonna make it out to that one. So,
yeah,
they got good stuff, man. They're a cool band, and like, it's really cool. And we've said this before, and we say it all the time. But like, when we talk to bands, like you and I are not necessarily like, I wouldn't say we're judgmental and stuff, but like we do try and vet a little bit. Like people that we talk to, you know what I mean? Like we try to, like we want to get people that are doing the right stuff, and these guys are absolutely doing the right stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
It's super cool to, you know, be a little older here and watching. I guess Ricky's older than us, but the rest of the band's younger. To see them doing the right thing, you know,
right?
Actually getting involved, not just being the tough guy in the scene, but like throwing shows, talking to everyone, you know. Going on tours with cool bands, reaching out, talking to people. Like I don't know. I'm impressed by it. It's really cool. So
yeah, no, huge shout out to those guys. So like I said, I was bummed, but I will be down in Dallas in like 3 weeks, man. It's wild.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Hopefully you get to meet those dudes in person. So
it's not going to be cool. It's going to be really warm, but you know, yeah, prepare for it.
All right. Well, dude, what's new this week with you? What have you been listening to? What have you been seeing? Like, what's going on?
I went to like lunch with my work.
Okay.
And we went to this restaurant and stuff. And I went to the bathroom, and like, as I was walking into the bathroom, I see some dude that's like walking out of the stall, and he's like washing his hand, but he's like really soaping one finger real good. So I'm like, dang, what happened? It's just one of those things, man. You notice where you're like, oh, that's not right. So That's kind of how my week's been, dude.
Knowing you, you're the kind of guy who would ask that question too.
I didn't ask him anything. I was weirded out. I was like, dang, man, you're like supping that one finger way too much. I don't know, dude. All right. On another note, I just got like a bunch of like stuff to mow my lawn with, because like the Home Depot, sponsored by Home Depot.
I freaking wish, man.
Oh, that'd be cool. They had like some deal, so I got like a new lawnmower and it came with like a leaf blower and stuff. And is this how you know like you've gotten old, when you're like excited for the lawn care stuff to come?
So literally, when you said sponsored by Home Depot, and I said I wish, like that's a legitimate wish. Like, yeah, it is a sign of being old, right? Like, how cool would it be to be like, I can get some home improvement tools for this stuff? Like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm down. Yeah. So,
dude, I was like excited. It was supposed to get here tomorrow, but it got here today, and I like ran out to the guy and like helped him bring the lawnmower in because it was heavy, and I set it all up. I was like, dang, I'm excited to mow my lawn tomorrow. So,
yeah. All right. So we have all the bands who are getting sponsorships and stuff. Who's the band who gets the Home Depot or Lowe's sponsorship?
It's like Bill Murray, because doesn't he have like a
Murray?
Doesn't he have like a music video where he's riding lawnmower or something?
That's fair. That's fair. That's probably
I guess you like Big Ass Truck seems like the band that gets by Home Depot, right?
Big Ass Truck sponsored by Swift Transportation.
DHL or whatever.
Dude,
which I guess works like sponsored by DHL, delivers to UPS. All the straight edge kids work at UPS. Like, it's all
fair. It's all sponsored by U-Haul. All their U-Haul equipment's always given to them for their tours. Like,
dude, that's like, I don't know. I feel like some of these companies missed out on like touring bands. Like, why don't these bands put like advertisements on the side of the van and then make money off it? I don't know.
Dude, it's fair. Fair to say. So, all right. Well, this was a weird conversation to get started.
I got more though. So think about this, dude. Like that restaurant I went to that was the guy doing a strange thing. They had like a high-tech bidet in there. I'm like down with the bidet, by the way. It's the best thing to come out of Europe. Anyways, I had this idea for like, could you imagine getting these like smart toilets? Because this bidet had like heat sensor, like you could warm up the seat or like cool off the seat and stuff. Like, what if you had, how cars, when you change your seats, you could like press the button and like automatically adjust who's driving. So you have like a smart toilet seat that like you press the button, it like raises because you're tall and it sets the temperature, like it knows the pressure for your butthole. And then I was thinking like
Kyle's ass.
No, that's what I was saying. I was like, you might not even need the like button. You could sit down and have like one of those like retinal scanners, but it scans the, the eye hole of the other part. It recognizes who you are. All right, look, dude, it's been a weird week. All right, this is what you get for not coming on last week. I had nobody. Like Chris doesn't like stop me from this stuff enough, so now I'm off the rails. But dude, tell me, like I would not make a lot of money. You could even have like something that could like measure like the chemicals in your pee to tell you if you were having like disease or something, dude. Like we could sell it to hospitals and like make bank, dude.
Dude, I think they have all that kind of stuff. Well, first of all, Scrubs already had this idea when Scrubs was on. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Toilet. You don't remember the Dr. Toilet episode?
No, it's been, I've literally only seen Scrubs like one time.
Oh, dude, you're missing out. We talked about TV shows earlier today. Like, go turn on Scrubs. That's one that you can go to. So
yeah, I need to. But
well,
all right, man.
All right.
So okay,
back to normal stuff that we talk about.
All right, on a serious note, I've talked a lot, and I will stop after this. But
no, talk.
I did go see the Obituary.
Oh,
Terror.
Have that tomorrow.
Spirit World. Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah,
dude, it's so good. And like, there's some of these bands I feel like when you listen to their older albums in 2025, it is kind of difficult to listen to just because like production quality is not good. Like Josh used to talk about this all the time that like you couldn't crank the volume in your car to certain albums because it just doesn't sound good anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Old Obituary was like that for me.
Okay.
Like it's cool, but like you don't really feel the like heaviness of it until like I was there listening to them play live.
Yeah.
It was a whole nother experience, dude, to see Obituary live. So
Well, and dude, I was telling you this like a year and a half ago when I went and saw Dying Fetus. Like, Dying Fetus is not a band that I just turn on and cruise around to. Freaking seeing them live was awesome.
yeah.
Like, that's how a lot of like heavy death metal is for me. I don't listen to just a lot of heavy death metal in general, but seeing it live, man, is something else. Like them, Creeping Death, Gates to Hell, like all of that kind of stuff. When that tour rolled through, I was just like I'll go do it all the time. It's awesome. So I'm super stoked to see Obituary. Dude, I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, did you
I must,
freaking mute yourself and then talk that whole time?
yeah. I must have hit the like mute button, dude. My bad.
I thought my headphones turned off, so I was just letting you go. And I was going to let you just like get to a
Dude,
point where you stop talking. But
this episode's a mess. If you guys stick around to the rest of this episode, like I will give you mad props. But I was saying that this venue in Dallas is like really weird because it's a movie theater, but they turned it into a venue where they do like concerts at, but they also do a lot of like comedy shows, performances, things like that. So it's like theater by the definition of the word theater, right?
yeah,
But these like, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot barriers that about every 6 feet on the floor that people, when you see a comedy show, like you sit down in front of it and you can like set your drinks on top of it and stuff. And it sucked because it ruined moshing, but like Terror came out and like some kid was standing next to me and I was like, dude, jump off it. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, dude, jump off it. So he runs and jumps off it and like everyone starts jumping off it. And the Scott Vogel was like, what are these barriers? I see you guys jumping off and they keep doing that. I like that. But like security,
dude, that's awesome.
People were cool with it. And yeah, Spirit World, Slade, they're so good live. I feel like though that they're not like people aren't giving them enough credit and or maybe they're not playing the tour and venue that they really need because like not a lot of people move for them and I wish they did. You know,
it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how the Salt Lake crowd is for Spirit World because they're from Vegas, right? So that's pretty close to us. So I think that they actually did quite a few tours up and into here back when they first got started.
They come from a band called Folsom as well,
right.
which I know has like straight edge ties. I don't know about straight edge, but it has like hardcore ties in the Salt, right? So
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to be curious to see. I know that there is a decent number of people up here who are like friends with those guys. So I'm curious to see what it looks like in terms of like moshing and stuff. But I don't know. Like I like Spirit World. I've never been like a huge Spirit World fan. Like I'll listen to their albums. I'm totally cool with them. And Helldorado was actually really dope. It was a sick album. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for all of them. Pest Control looks sick. Spirit World.
So good.
But dude, like Nels, man, I'm so excited for Nels.
You're probably going to have a lot better experience with Nails than we did. Nobody really did much for Nails. Like I didn't even see people moshing. Honestly, nobody really moshed outside of Terror,
Yeah.
At this show,
I mean, kind of a hard venue. Was it 21 and older too?
Oh, it was all ages.
No. All right.
It was all ages. So, but Pest Control sounds way good. I think they're going to blow up. Because they're they
kind of are already.
They're pretty thrashy, but it's a very consumable thrash sound. It's a lot like Drain. Reminds me a little bit of like kind of the Drain sound, right? And I think they're going to blow up. So
sick. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. What about new music? Have you seen anything coming out? Been listening to anything?
No, I know that. Well, I guess this will have come out, but I think Fortunes. Down from San Antonio, the band that we are friends with or whatever, they got new stuff coming out tomorrow, I think. And when I say tomorrow, I mean Friday, May 2nd. So, But yeah, other
Okay.
than that, man, I don't really know. I don't think so. I don't think I heard anything new.
I mean, so there was some stuff that I missed that I went back to, like Chris, who you had on with you. He
Yeah.
sent us over Anvil Chandelier. That's
Okay.
a pretty sick. Did you listen to that?
Yeah, I did. It's like in the vein of the Balmora stuff that I'm just like indifferent on. So
Dude, it's so good. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of it. I like that throwback sound. I like the kind of chaotic. Like when someone says screamo, like this is what like pops into my head, and I'm all
yeah,
for it. Like it was super dope. So like See You Space Cowboy type esque sound, Anvil Chandelier. They actually had Connie on one of their songs, so super dope. That was a
it is
ton of fun. Um, there was a couple I don't remember. Did I listen to so much stuff this week? Because like, so let me tell you my issue. Okay, we are doing a locals episode. We knew we were going to talk about Brass Tongue. I, for the life of me, could not figure out who I wanted to talk about. Like, I sat there and I went to like fans also like this band in Spotify, and I went down the freaking rabbit hole. Like, I went as far as I possibly could, and I could not figure out who I wanted to talk about.
yeah.
So, the band we are going to talk about, dude, I'm super grateful that the vocalist actually added us on Instagram. And whenever someone adds us on Instagram, by the way, I always click on the profile. I always see if they're part of a band, doing something in the scene, something along that line. He had a link to his band. And so I immediately went and clicked on See It Through Crew and picked that up. And that's why we're going to be talking about See It Through today. So shout out to See It Through. Add us on Instagram. We
Yeah.
do listen. We do look at this stuff. But before we get into that stuff,
Trevor's always clicking on profiles looking for all the Instagram bots. So
you know it,
yeah.
man. You know it. But before we get to that, Boundaries, they announced a tour
That's
with
right.
Stick to Your Guns and Psycho Frame, and who was the other one? There's
Can't
someone
remember.
else. There's someone else heavy. Gosh dang, hold on. I don't want to leave them out because it's a band I like. Boundaries.
Gates to Hell.
Gates to Hell. Yes. Freaking I love Gates to Hell, and they have new music coming out. So I'm actually really excited for that. But it's not coming to Salt Lake. They do have a day available from when they go to Colorado up to Idaho, though. Boundaries, I know you listen to this, so come on through. Like we're coming out. It's a Friday night too. Like it's a perfect time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you because we talked a lot about 2023, 2024 metalcore.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did I like that Boundaries album so freaking much? Because that last Boundaries album was incredible.
It's way good.
It's heavy, it's aggressive, but it still has the Queen singing, all that kind of stuff. So I was driving around and I was listening to it and I was just like, man, I love this. Why do I like this so much? But like we talk so much crap on Fit for a King. Why do I not like Fit for a King? So I went and listened to the last Fit for a King album again.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it feels like there's no passion left in the generic metalcore sound. The music's good. Like they write good songs and stuff like that. But go listen to Boundaries and listen to him gasping as he's screaming, I effing hate you. Like it's just such like it hits you so much harder listening to a Boundaries, listening to a No Cure. I know this band's gone now, Mouth for War or something, compared to exactly. Compared to a Fit for a King or something like that.
Yeah.
Like literally they left the gasping on the album.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and be like, well, you guys just hate clean singing. It's like, no. Like,
No, because the Clean Singing on the Boundaries album's
yeah,
solid. I'm down with it.
Like Foreign Hands, you know?
Yeah.
Like clean singing in metalcore definitely is not what ruins it for me, you know? Like War of Ages is still kicking it and they sing And it's like, it's not the cleans that bother me. It's like you're saying, it's the generic AI generated metalcore that's coming out.
It feels too polished.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no soul, there's no anger, there's no actual emotion to it. It's just heavy music for heavy's sake. And I don't like that,
Yeah. Yeah. It's super weird. So, but like, that's what it was. Like, I sat there and I was like, why am I so opposed to like this current modern metalcore and stuff like that? And I'm just like, you don't personally listen, this is all personal, right? I just don't feel anything listening to it. Freaking Under Oath and stuff like that. First of all, that's trash, right? But like, you just don't feel anything. Go back and listen to like Define the Great Line, and like, it feels like they put so much emotion into that one. Like, it's just night and day difference. Well, it's just weird.
You think about like, because I feel like some of these bands that sold out like that, and I'm doing air quotations because whatever, you can say it's selling out or not, but there's still bands that are kicking around that have done it the right way. Like, look at Thursday. You listen to Thursday's new songs and you're like, this is 100% Thursday. Like, they have not lost the passion. They have not lost what made Thursday. And I do think that there are like the occasional metalcore band that you're like, yeah, they're still trying to do it the right way. And I don't care about sound changes, like change your sound, whatever, but like, don't lose what made you, and don't lose what made like this music what it is. And that's like real emotion and anger and whatever, So,
yeah, exactly. Anyways, off of our soapbox again. Got one more thing for you. And I thought that this was super funny. Okay. I know we're 20 minutes into this, but I was listening to the Garza pod, and Jamie Josta was on there, the Hatebreed guy. And like, all of the headlines, all of the stuff that got posted about him being on there was like, he took over Summer Slaughter, like he's part of the Milwaukee Metal Fest, like all that kind of stuff. The thing that caught me was they used to refer to breakdowns, they called them busting. They called them the busts instead of a breakdown. And I thought that was super interesting. So I'm going to ask you, would you rather be called the breakdown, or would you rather be driving around and be like, dude, this is about to bust so I think we should go back to bust. Let's call him the bust. Like, I'm down with it.
Yeah, that's going to get you in trouble, but
clip it. I'm down with the bust. No, I thought it was hilarious. But he was like, it's weird, huh?
There's got to be a lot of like language like that that's been changed and lost through the years, I don't know. It's kind of funny.
I'm really curious. Like, was it an East Coast thing? What other words were there for the breakdown? Again, air quotes. What were they called in different scenes?
Yeah.
Like, before everyone conformed and said, "Oh, this is a breakdown." Like,
yeah, that's a like solid question, man. And if there's any old heads from different parts of the country, hit us up. Let us know, because I would argue that probably 80% of people called it a breakdown, and that pocket might just be weird. So, or maybe he literally us, like
listen, man.
Maybe he's being literal here. Maybe he's like, yeah, dude, this song is about to bust.
Listen, I've said this since like day one of this podcast. Music evokes physical reactions. For Jamie Josta, that physical reaction is busting. Like,
gosh, dude.
Holy cow. All right.
We're going to lose all of our listeners this episode. So,
yeah.
I feel bad. I apologize to Brass Tongue and to See It Through. The people are going to come listen to this talking about those bands. They're going to hear, buttholes, toilets, and scan your butthole and songs about the bust. So top tier music quality and discussion in this podcast. So,
Man.
all right, man.
Yeah, and we've already invited See It Through to be on here with us too. So
Yeah,
maybe they'll change their answer after this one. So
you make sure you schedule some time with them before they hear this.
right, right. So, well, dude, I talked a lot now. Let's start with Brass Tongue. Hook us up
All
with
right.
some Brass Tongue.
Sorry, hold on. I'm coughing because of my allergies. All right. So, Strike Face and
Intimidator.
Intimidator, were they the first like local bands that we did?
Out of South Carolina, I think so.
Yeah. No, like in general.
Oh, in general, no. The first ones we did, we had Josh with us, and we did Nailed Shut,
And Interpersonal.
Sewn Shut,
Oh,
and Will to Live.
and Will.
Who
That's right. Well, was that?
That was the first one because Josh did it with us.
All right. Well, anyway, I mean,
Early on,
we talked about some South Carolina bands, and we're huge fans of the South Carolina scene. They're just pumping out like crazy music. Reviler, obviously friends with those guys, great dudes. Strike Face, Intimidator, great dudes, great music. I kind of felt like it would be remiss to not bring up one of the other South Carolina heavy hitters in Brass Tongue. So, as I've said before, I'm a big playlist guy. Brass Tongue, for some reason, has seemed, and I'm not complaining about it, seemed to have popped up a lot on my playlist that I have. And so I thought, you know what, we need to give these guys some love because I'm a huge fan of their sound. So they really only have like some EPs and singles. Looks like the first one was in 2022. So they've been around for a little bit. They've got an EP in 2022, another one in 2023, and then one last year in 2024. And seriously, all three EPs are just straight bangers. So what do you think about Brass Tongue? Yeah, we'll just start there.
yeah. So this is a band that we've obviously been listening to, honestly, for like the last 2 years. I think that the first time that I listened to them was when Street Psalms came out. Like I remember when that release dropped and listening to Carolina Style, and then Will Blue from Reviler, he's on that Face to Face. So like we were already chatting with Reviler, like listening to Reviler. So this like bled into that, and dude, it's solid. It was at a time where we were listening to a lot of heavy, or there was a lot of focus on beat down heavy music.
Yeah.
Like if I remember correctly, this was in like Big Ass Truck was coming out. Tsunami was still taking over the world. Like Kubla Khan and stuff had just done that huge tour and everything.
Yeah.
And when we first started talking about them, we were like, this is a breath of fresh air. It's faster. It's, it's that upbeat hardcore that we were looking for. And we've since found a lot of it, right? Like, Commodity, we talked about Commodity, we've talked about Strike Face, we've talked about a lot of these bands that are this fast pace, but Brass Tongue was one of those first ones where it was like, this feels throwback, this feels upbeat, New York style, East Coast style, hardcore, and it was fun. It was dope.
Yeah. So what's interesting is I feel like they have a very distinct sound. Even though like they've had a little bit of a sound change through their EPs, especially from the Dangerous World demo EP, which came out in 2022. That's the first one. It's very thrashy, but there's something about like his cadence and the way that the music kind of blended together with him that like, it's such a unique stamp that they put on their music. And so like, I think that's what made me, kind of, really enjoy these guys, is because you're right. Like it is a sound that I'm a big fan of already, but their take on it felt really unique.
Yeah.
The thrashier sound, but then it gets into like these really cool, groovy 2-step parts, and his vocals, like, I don't think they're what you would expect for a sound like this, especially on the original EP, the demo, the 2022 one. But like, even on like Street Psalms, dude, like Carolina Style.
Yeah, dude.
it just has such a sick sound to it, like the bass, like the very defined bass and stuff with it. Like I don't know. I'm just a huge fan of like the uniqueness that they bring to the sound.
All right. Okay. So I texted you this earlier, and I texted to you because I wanted to remind myself that opening bass riff. You cannot tell me that that is not a direct ripoff of Alan Jackson. Go listen to Alan Jackson. What's the song called? Chattahoochee. Go listen to that opening riff. They did it hardcore style on the bass. That is just straight up an Alan Jackson ripoff.
I mean, sure. Okay, no, I can hear it. You're right.
You can hear it. And it's, listen, man, the only reason I remembered this is that Alan Jackson album was the first CD I ever owned. It was, my parents bought it for me for Christmas when I was like 7 years old. It was the first CD that I ever owned. I listened the heck out of some Alan Jackson. And Chattahoochee was definitely the number one song.
He's from Georgia. So I wonder if there's a little bit of like Chattahoochee in there,
Carolina style, brass tongue. Hit me up. Let me know how right I am. And if you didn't intentionally do that, you now can claim, you can make that claim. But that is that first opening thing.
Okay,
it's like, awesome.
Though, the opening to Carolina style is one of the coolest.
Openers.
Like I think any band we've talked about, this is one of my favorite like intros to an album. Like the single bass tone that comes into like that they're starting with that and you're side deciding as hard as you can, and then it like stops and his vocals come in, dude. Like it's perfect. Like the intro to that is just, it's perfect. Like Alan
Absolutely.
Jackson, it is perfect of what I would want on a hardcore album.
So we've talked a lot about, I wasn't a big, just like straight thrash guy. We've gotten into a lot of crossover since we've been doing this, since you've been down in Texas and stuff, because a lot of Texas is very thrash based. Like there's a lot of good riffs and stuff like that. Dangerous World demo, it's freaking incredible. My favorite song that Brass Tongue has put out is Sunflower Garden. Dude, that song is so mean. It's aggressive, it's fast, it's thrashy. And I feel like this set them up so well with like what they could do technically and stuff like that, that they've had a solid progression. Dangerous World, you have a lot of thrash. Then you go to Street Psalms and you start to get some of that cadence that you're talking about, that kind of East Coast style. And then one step away is just like, they've kind of leaned into it. It almost feels kind of Pain of Truth-ish at times, but they still keep kind of some of that thrash flair, some of that flair that they took from Street Psalms and stuff like that.
Yeah. Dude, I just thinking about that riff in Sunflower Garden. It's like, dude. Yeah, dude. That album
Garden is nasty.
I'd like to know if they still play songs off that. I hope they do, because you're right. Like I would go just crazy for some of these things on there. So I also want to say that Street Psalms is like one of the coolest names of an album.
Oh yeah. No, that's fantastic.
It's such a sick name. So the Face to Face with Will from Reviler. Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, and I get what you're saying. I actually didn't really make the like NYC type hardcore connection until you brought it up. And I definitely do hear like the influence and stuff in it, but even in like Street Psalms, like I still just feel like, I mean, nothing against Pain of Truth, but like I would listen to this over that,
Sure. Yeah. And like, listen, Street Psalms doesn't lean into it as much as One Step Away does. Like One Step Away gets a little bit more, even more into that kind of, like I said, that East Coast style cadences. And all that stuff. But they stick to kind of who they are, because you listen to a lot of like the New York stuff, the East Coast stuff, and the way that it's structured, it's very staccato-y, and it has the cadence of hip hop. And I've said this to people, and people look at me like I'm crazy sometimes. But there's such just like a cadence to the way that if you listen to a Pain of Truth, if you listen to some of those old bands, who did you send over that you were saying? TUI. If you listen to TUI,
like Town Concrete and Gridiron and
yeah, exactly. There's a very kind of hip hop aspect to like the way that they phrase their lyrics and the way that they bounce and stuff like that. And it's a very East Coast thing. Like I don't really remember a lot of like West Coast stuff doing it, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But like the bands that I think of when I hear it are East Coast.
yeah.
I like how these guys have bridged that gap a little bit. They've taken the East Coast, but they've also taken that kind of Carolina style, like they've coined, right? And it's just it flows very well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. So Street Psalms came out in 2023, One Step Away in 2024. I guess it was November, so it's like it hasn't been that long, but dude, I listened to One Step Away a ton. Like it is so good. Like the just the breakdown and Roll the Dice.
Oh yeah.
Where I don't know what he says, but he's called someone a mother effer, and then it gets into this like nasty breakdown. It's like what you're saying though, like his vocal cadence, like sure you get a little bit of the New York style, but like the like metallic sound of the breakdown and Roll the Dice, just like, I mean, it just is 100% the sound that I'm down with right now.
Yeah.
And so like seriously, such a cool band. And I also want to say too that like their picture on Apple Music, I don't know if it's the same on Spotify, but it's like the four of them and the guys like got him like this nasty mustache dude with like super long hair. And then two other guys like in the side of this car, and then the singers with like a cigarette or something hanging out of his mouth. And I'm like, this is the coolest stuff I've ever seen. Like these guys, I don't know what it is, but they just like exude like, this is like super cheesy way to say it, but it's like a little bit of a swag, dude. Like,
yeah,
they kind of have like this cool swag about them with their sound and like the imagery of themselves. Cause even the cover of like Street Psalms, where it's like kind of the fisheye camera that's like top down.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's so badass. Like it really is.
Yeah.
So
no, like they're super dope. They're awesome. It's a great band. It's one that we've been listening to for a long time. We finally are getting around to talking about them, and they play a lot of big shows.
yeah.
So like, I would not be surprised to see them pop off a little bit more as well. So
yeah, they're opening for the Harm's Way Orthodox show.
Yep.
Out there. They're playing with Haywire and Spy, I think's going through. If that one already hasn't happened. I know they played with like No Cure, they played with Terror and End It.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're playing like just insane shows. And I've seen clips of them live, dude. It just looks like a freaking blast. Like it looks like so much fun. So
yeah. So
I'm glad we're talking about them because, like you said, we've listened to them for a while, and they popped up a couple times on my playlist, and I was like, man, we gotta make sure we give these guys the love they deserve because it's a tight band. So go check out Brass Tongue from South Carolina.
100%. So dope. On to See It Through. So See It Through, as I said, this was their vocalist followed us on Instagram, and I high and low, man. I could not figure out who I wanted to talk about. And we've done so much like heavy music, fast, aggressive. Like we talked about Stress Test. We've talked about like Recidivist and stuff like that. Like we went heavy on locals for a while.
Yeah.
And I even texted you and I was like, dude, like I just want to talk about someone who's like not like that. I want to talk about something a little bit different. And I can't tell you, like, I don't know if it was just like divine intervention or what it was, but like the timing of all of it, like See It Through is a new band. Their first EP, What's Behind Us Never Fades, just dropped April 14th. So we're only 2 weeks since it's released. And they've signed with New Age Records. But dude, it is just like, it is kind of a breath of fresh air when
Yeah.
it comes to hardcore. So before I take all of what we can talk about with See Through, what did you think about this 4 song EP? 5 song with an intro.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was super cool and different to what's really making like a lot of noise right now. And I feel like you and I have always tried to do a good job to be well rounded in hardcore, you know, not just being obsessed with like one sound and stuff. So like I think it's really cool that we can talk about a band like this. But they do remind me a lot of like Commodity. They remind me a lot of like old melodic, like East Coast, Northeast Coast melodic hardcore. Um, I'm a huge fan of this. Like I really am a huge fan of this. And you can definitely feel like the emotion and stuff. You can feel like what they're trying to do, you know, like musically and lyrically and what they're trying to get across. And yeah, I have nothing but praise and good things to say about the CP. So
Awesome. Yeah. So just looking at what they have on New Age Records, like a bio and a few things like that, they said that sonically they were taking inspiration from the Northeast, right? A lot of the 80s youth crew, a lot of melodic hardcore. Uh, they There were 4 bands that they specifically talked about. They talked about Have Heart, Battery. Let me think. What were the other 2? It was Have Heart, Battery, um, Turning Point, and Betrayed. Those were the 4 bands. And I was texting you this today. It was like, okay, I totally see the influence, especially like Have Heart and stuff like that. I totally see the influence. But this album is so much slower or like tempoed in a way that it just feels different because you listen to a lot of like that youth crew style, you listen to a lot of that Northeast stuff, and it's fast. It's very fast. I was even thinking of like the other straight edge bands who we've been listening to or talking about lately, Time Heist, Life Force, those bands and stuff like that, who are doing the more traditional hardcore sound. It's fast. This album slowed it down and was very melodic. Even the parts where they do pick up tempo a little bit, instead of doing like the very fast strumming, the very like quick strumming, they will do a more just like steady beat, steady rhythm and stuff like that. And it sat so well with me when I was listening to it. The song See It Through, absolutely incredible. You get about, what is it, 2 minutes in? Or what? Let's see. I don't remember. At one point, you actually do pick up just a little bit. And then what's behind us never fades. That's about the fastest that they get, that intro. Everything else, it's just steady. It's almost calming. So, like, it's weird to say, but it's kind of calming. And I think part of that has to do with their vocalist, the way that he sings, the way that he is screaming the words. This Brian, he's just kind of yelling. It's not really a harsh scream or anything like that. It just like, dude, it just like, it flows really well. So, um, let me ask you though, like, is there one song that like stood out? There's only 4 songs to listen to, right? So I've listened to all of them about 8 times today. Has anything like really stood out?
okay. Um it's hard to say like that anything necessarily stood out. Because it was all like it's only a 5 song EP. And so I don't think there was a song that I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm never gonna listen to any other song other than this one, you know?
Yeah.
But I just, like you said, the album flows so well, and it's a sound that is not super prevalent right now. And so it was a breath of fresh air. It was something that I could sit down and just listen to, and I didn't have to like, you know, it's not too aggressive, but it's like still heavy enough that I wanted to listen to it. Um, I like that it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool take on this type of sound, because there are bands that sound, I think, very similar in like Envision, Eco Strike, Wreckage. So I do think there are bands that are similar, but like you said, they're way faster, and
Yeah.
their take on this is again, it's unique and it's fun, and it's, something that you can sit down and listen to. I wish that they had their lyrics on Apple Music so that I could read, because that's what I want to do with it, right? I don't want to sit here and like headbang to it or whatever. I want to sit here and listen to it and think about what they're saying and stuff. And then I think that's very powerful music when you can do that.
And to their credit, though, like if you really wanted to do that, the way that he sings, the way he does his vocals, you could sit and focus on the lyrics, like him singing, and you could understand what he's saying. You know what I mean? And so, like, all credit to them that's a really cool way to do it. But The Life We Know, the last song on the album, it's 5 minutes long. We don't get many 5-minute hardcore songs. And I really like it. The first 2 minutes of it is just kind of an intro to it. Keeps the melody, keeps the melodic nature of what they're doing and stuff. And then you just get a really solid 3-minute song at the end. That's the one that like I could listen to quite a bit. And I was sitting there thinking like the songs that I really like on like Defeater albums and stuff like that are, or the ones that are very memorable, the ones that I can think of are the ones that are slowed down. Like most bands will have like one of these on an album. These guys gave us 4 and it was awesome. I really, really do like this. And I'm super stoked that this is just the beginning, to sign to New Age already, put out a 4-song EP, and they're already scheduled to play Within These Walls 2025. It's like the Arizona big show of the year in September. It has Bane, God's Hate, Bleeding Through. The Warriors are the ones headlining this show, and they're playing it. It's going to be sick. So, which, by the way, I might be going to freaking Arizona in September.
Yeah, me too. I might be going with you.
Like, I'm like, how can I go see Contention and Contention's on that show? And that is like, out of any band right now, I know we're talking about See It Through, but Contention's like my number one band that like I want to see that I haven't seen so far. And so it's like, go to do that. Now I've got another super solid local band, because these guys are from Arizona, to go and support. Like, I'm a huge fan. I love the album cover. I love the artwork on it. The album feels very reminiscent of that Half Heart yellow album cover and stuff like that. It feels like it was a little bit inspired by that. Just an awesome scene. I would like to have that as a poster. Like that, it's a sick album cover. So
yeah,
it's solid.
No, seriously. And I'm just glad that there's still people around that are trying to play this kind of music.
Yeah.
And I don't have any issues with the heavy, beatdowny, aggressive sounding stuff. I mean, I listen to it all the time, but this is nice. It's nice that kids, I don't know if these guys are kids. We're all kids. It's nice that there's hardcore kids that are still feeling some type of attachment, some type of desire to play more melodic hardcore with, those types of vocals. Cause it's a dime a dozen nowadays. It feels like,
And here's the thing, like, you still have 2 steps in this. Go to Enough. Listen to the last breakdown in Enough. There's a breakdown. You can swing if you want to. Like, they are still doing the hardcore thing, but it is just a little bit of a different take on it. And it was enough of a take that it caught my attention. So, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for bands that just catch our attention. So shout out to these guys. I'm a big fan. I don't know how many people know about these guys yet because, like I said, this just dropped in April a couple weeks ago. If you haven't heard See It Through, go and listen to See It Through. What's Behind Us Never Fades. Absolute fantastic. 15 minutes long. Like, just put it on. You got
Yeah.
15 minutes. So we say it all the time, but
yeah. No, dude, this was great. Both really cool. Like, it's funny to talk about like bands that we consider unique and different because to the outside world, everyone's like, yes, it's just yelly music, but it's unique sounds. These are fun bands. These are fun bands that are doing cool stuff right now. So, like Trevor said, neither one of these bands have like 4-hour discography. So sit down and give them a listen and a follow and stuff, and support both these bands because it's good stuff right now. So
yeah, absolutely. So dope. Well, not sure what we're doing next week. We are scheduling a few interviews. Like I said, I'm trying to get the See It Through guys to hop on with us. We've got a couple other bands in the works. Got to hit nostalgia at some point again. I don't know where we're going to go with nostalgia next.
Dude, I got plans.
You got plans?
I got plans.
All right. Well, I'm all for that then. But yeah, like I said, if you're in a band, listen, just add us. Like, you don't have to like blast your music to us and stuff like that. I'm going to figure out who you are and I'm going to listen to what you're doing. So just add us on social medias. Like, I'm curious. It's all cool. It's all interesting. And if you want to send us your music, awesome. We listen to that too. So keep it coming. I was stoked for these bands, but yeah, that's it for this week.
We do listen to music, by the way, when people send it to us, and we enjoy that. So
yes,
do it.
All right, man. Well, we'll catch you next week.
All right, see you, dude.
Peace.